Hello, and welcome to the second episode of Linkf's BizBytes podcast. Now, if any of you have heard our previous episode, you will know that we have talked a lot about marketing and the different ways that you can market to your target audience or anyone else. Now, for this second episode, we have something a little bit different, but it's still special and something that could really add value to all entrepreneurs or even our own e-partners. Isn't that right, Surya?
That's right, we're back with episode 2. So we really hope you would stick around and you would listen to our discussion today. We have an interesting topic lined up for you today. So Aaron, would you want to tell our audience what our topic is for today?
I was hoping that you were going to tell it, but fine, I will do so. Today's episode, we'll be talking about how tobacco companies are struggling to flex their branding muscles when more and more countries are pushing forward plain packaging solutions.
Yes, that's right. So if you look at the world, there are many countries like Australia and Togo and many more that are attempting to push for plain packaging solutions for cigarettes. And of course, this comes at a disadvantage for tobacco companies, because they would want to go all out on their branding.
That's right. So it's a very disruptive thing to affect a person's marketing or even advertising strategies. And how does it relate back to us, the casual listeners, or even us here at Linkf? Even though we are not in the tobacco company or the cigarette company, it can affect us in a sense how marketing and advertising will be if imagine that we can't really advertise the way we want to, if we can't market the way we want to, and that there are red tapes or restrictions on how we can do certain things with our products or our services.
That's right. So we'll be talking about how this affects us, and how this not only affects the tobacco company, how it affects us and how it affects Linkf and basically every other entrepreneur that's out there. So, I guess I'll start.
Go ahead.
Right. If you look at tobacco companies, Aaron, what do you think is their best-selling offer?
The best-selling offer, well, first of all, I'm a non-smoker.
Okay.
So, if I were a smoker, the best deal that I would probably get was...
what do you think is being sold to you when you buy a pack of cigarettes?
Well, usually what I would see is all the ruptured lungs, the black color lungs.
Okay,
it's like, don't smoke because otherwise this could be your lungs. You would lose all your health. Your family would be sad and crying at your funeral or something. It's very morbid and very sad.
Okay, so that's what you get when you see the cigarette packet,
when I
right?
see it, so it's like, oh. And usually you see quite some disgusting images in it.
Yeah, so that's true. I guess you're a non-smoker, so that's what you see, and I guess that's what most people even see, because it's very blatantly obvious, right, on the packaging. You have, in Malaysia, right, you have very pretty disgusting images of how the organ looks like.
True.
The lungs and whatsoever. But for smokers, cigarettes. So first of all, of course, they're cigarettes, right? But going beyond that, they're not just cigarettes, but they're actually an image, I would say. They're an image, because when smokers smoke, it is not the nicotine plays a part as well, but it's not just about the chemicals that's in the cigarettes, it's what the cigarette portrays to the people around me. So that image actually is an important commodity or important identity for smokers, I believe. So, if you look at cigarettes, they're such iconic objects in society, and even if you don't smoke, you can't escape people who do. And cigarettes have been around for a really long time, right? We've seen cigarettes in the hands of many iconic characters. And if you want an example, do you remember Fred Flintstone?
Oh yes,
from the Flintstones.
Flintstones.
Yeah,
the Flintstones. I can't even remember the lyrics.
Yeah,
right now.
the caveman family.
Yes,
right?
yes,
So
yes.
actually, Fred and what was his best friend's name again? George, was it? Okay, I can't remember.
I only remember Fred Flintstone and his catchphrase, "Yabba dabba doo."
Oh yeah, and his pet dinosaur.
Yes, that's all I remember. Unfortunately. very short-term memory, I'm afraid.
Yeah, so I mean, those guys, they actually smoke. Although I'm not too sure if if kids here were showed that they will smoke because of the censorship that we have. But yeah, besides those characters, we also have the Marlboro Man, and I'm pretty sure our listeners and everyone here would know who the Marlboro Man is. The Marlboro Man was an icon of masculinity and ruggedness back in those days.
Is it? Then how come have I never heard of the Marlboro Man?
Yeah, okay, wait, I have no idea. How do you not know? How can you not know the Marlboro Man?
Really? I
You
don't
do
know
not
the Marlboro
know the
Man.
Marlboro Man?
Maybe that's the reason why I'm a non-smoker, because I haven't heard of it.
Okay, well,
I just dodged a bullet right here. Oh my god. My god. Oh. This is the first time I heard there's someone called a Marlboro Man. Does he look like the Michelin Man or something?
okay, you're being
On the
very
tires?
smart with your replies, which is good, I guess this would make for a really good debate.
It is already a good debate. Come on, sell your pitch to me.
Yeah, but anyway, if you're looking at cigarettes and tobacco in Malaysia, well, for the past decade, since 1983, we've been steadily limiting how tobacco companies should behave. And there's a regulation that does this, which is the Food Act of 1983 and the Control of Tobacco Product Regulations 2004 and the subsequent amendments to this legislation. So this now translates to our present reality, which is that we have packaging with warnings, and then as you can see and as you have pointed out earlier, right? We've also banned all paid sponsorships from tobacco companies. So if you look at our football games, you don't see tobacco companies actually sponsoring those games, and virtually all forms of tobacco advertising and promotion is prohibited. Okay, do you know the song? Oh my god, what was the name again? Do you know this Ed Sheeran song? I'm on my way.
Yeah.
Castle on the Hill,
Yes,
right?
Castle on the Hill.
Yeah, Castle on the Hill.
Yes,
okay,
Castle
so
on the Hill.
There's actually one line in Castle on the Hill that's Ed Sheeran sings smoking hand-rolled cigarettes, but so when he was playing the radio today, they actually played smoking only, and then they banned hand-rolled cigarettes.
So what did they substitute the hand-rolled cigarettes with?
Nothing.
Nothing, just smoking and then just
Yeah,
silence.
then the audio was playing in the back. So that's how intense the censorship is.
Oh my god. Okay, for those who are listening, okay, I don't really listen to Castle on the Hill, I'm afraid, but I guess for some of the listeners who are Ed Sheeran fans, who probably have heard that song before, if you have observed that there's a awkward silence because of the censorship, do let us know in the comments.
Yeah, do let us know.
Yeah, because we want to know if that's really true. Because if you go to YouTube, I'm sure you'll get all the uncensored versions where
Yes.
there'll be the lyrics will be present. But if it is true that in Malaysia that lyric is absent, and it is really that's the case, please let us know in the comments, because I really want to know if this is true or not.
Yeah, I'd like to know
Did
if
Fly
ours
FM, did
did.
Hits FM, did any of these FMs double cross us? Did they not let us know some of the artistic lyrics in it? Did they block us for some reason?
Well, I can't remember the FM that I was listening to. I think it was mixed. But anyway, do let us know in the comments. Okay, then if you look at... Yeah, so that's how intense the censorship is, right? And if you look at the local tobacco industry, it's actually shrinking and it's dying because of many external factors in the industry. So first of which would be health concerns. So more and more people today are very concerned about their health. So more and more people are opting not to smoke, or even if they do opt to smoke, they smoke they don't smoke as frequent as they do before. They smoke on occasions only. So this is the first factor. The market, is getting healthier, is growing towards healthier concerns. Second is, cigarettes are expensive.
It is.
It is. So back in those days, if in the early 2000s, you could get a cigarette pack for $7 a pack or even $5 a pack. But if you look at the price of a cigarette packet today, it'll cost you from 14 ringgit to 25 ringgit. And most cigarette packs, they average out at 20 ringgit. So that's how expensive cigarettes are. So of course, the purpose of this tax is to, of course, deter people from actually buying the product, and to stop the addiction.
The smoke, oh my, this has turned very, very sinister all of a sudden.
Yeah, you can see how
Smog me.
passionate I am about this.
Ooh.
I'm slurring over my words right now.
Oh my god, what is your true intentions, Surya? Okay.
So well, that's the second factor. So we've got the health factor, we've got the tax, and the third and final factor would be, well, due to the fact that cigarettes are very expensive, now in Malaysia we've got contraband cigarettes. So illegal cigarettes in the market, and this is of course a bane to the authorities and to the tobacco companies because they're unable to sell their own goods, well, for the companies. And for the authorities, these illegal cigarettes, they actually cost way cheaper than the actual cigarettes. So they cost about 4 to 7 per box only, which is like half, less than half. And this is costing the authorities the tax dollars lah, because the authorities would, in the past, they would be able to earn from the sale of the non-illegal cigarettes, but then now with illegal cigarettes coming in, their sale has dropped. So this of course results in less tax for the authorities lah. And I have a statistics to actually prove this fact as well. So the Malaysian Reserve actually published in 2017 that 1 in every 2 cigarette packs sold in the country today, in Malaysia today, is actually illegal.
It's like a 50% chance that
Yeah.
whatever you are buying is basically, well, I don't know if the contents in the cigarette are the same or it could be even more toxins in it.
Yeah, we don't know that for sure, but
Yeah, wow.
1 in every 2
1 in every 2,
cigarette
I'll be
packets.
thinking like maybe 1 in every 8 or 9, but that's a 50% chance.
Yep.
If let's say you imagine you are a smoker every single day, in that 7 days, it could be like 3 to 4 days where it could be fake cigarettes.
Yep, and
Wow.
here's another fact. So 3 out of 5 million smokers in Malaysia are smoking using illegal cigarettes, which are readily available at 3 to 5 ringgit per packet.
I mean, 3 million people out of 5 million
Smokers, yeah, that's
that's-
slightly more than half.
That's more than half.
That's
That's
more than
smoking
half.
illegally. That means some of my friends. Okay, I'm not gonna disclose some names. There are a few friends of mine who love to smoke. Every time we go to cafes, we wanna hang out, and they would just want to sit outside. They'd be asking me, "Can we sit outside? We don't want the aircon." And then I'm like, "Come on, the aircon is cool. It's nice. It's in the hot afternoon. You want to sweat or something? Are you weird?" And then they're like, "No, you know what we want to do." And then I'm like, "Okay, fine, we'll go there. And every time that happens, you know what comes out?
Yeah.
They'll take a couple of puffs, and then they'll tell their life story, and then they'll take another puff, and then they just keep puffing and puffing and puffing. And wow, if you say there's a 50% chance, or in this case it's more than 50, it's probably like 60% chance.
Yeah, and well,
Oh my god. Oh, I don't even know if my friends even know of this.
well, the reason Aaron is bringing up his friends, and the reason he's able to recollect this experience so vividly is because I'm his friend and I smoke. But
okay.
yeah, I don't smoke every day, but I smoke irregularly, I would say. So I guess I'm more of a social smoker.
Okay.
So I would be one of those guys that would insist to sit outside, like, because I don't like cold places to begin with anyway.
For the record, I did not rat him out. For the record,
I
did
ratted
not
myself
I did not do anything to expose his tendencies to smoke. He did that himself. So if anyone who has heard this and is going to report to families or friends, though,
I mean, no worries,
yeah, don't come after me. Okay, I'm not at fault here. This is not my business.
Yeah, it's me. It's all on me.
Okay. So you can see, smoking, the culture is pretty prevalent even with Surya. And do you even know whether you are smoking the fake ones or the original ones?
Well, usually what I do is if you let's talk about how I get these cigarettes, right? So when I do get cigarettes, it's usually from my friends. So, and also or what I'll do is I'll just buy from someone that has a packet ready, then I'll just buy one from them lah.
Alright.
Because as I was telling, the price of one box is very expensive, and to someone who to people that smoke regularly, and if you're smoking original cigarettes, right, I don't know how do you do it, because it's so expensive. You're easily spending 20 ringgit up to a week, 20 ringgit a week, and if you accumulate that over time, that comes up to a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's money where you can use to drink coffee instead.
Yeah, but you could get you could get addicted on coffee too. So
Hey, at least coffee is not affecting our health.
Yeah, that's true though.
Gives us energy.
Coffee is healthier.
Yeah.
It's a healthier alternative.
Yes, definitely. But of course, they say 20 ringgit per week if you're using original cigarettes.
Yeah.
But for the fake ones, how much would that be?
Well, if you look at the most expensive, what I've surveyed is 7.
7, the most expensive.
Is 7. Yeah.
That is for one pack.
One packet of 20 cigarettes.
7.
7 ringgit.
God. Oh my God, no wonder.
Yeah, so no wonder people are preferring illegal cigarettes because they're way cheaper. They're way cheaper. And of course, as I pointed out earlier, this is a problem to authorities and to the tobacco companies themselves. But anyway, let's not get into the legal facets of it. What I would like to highlight next is so you've got, why is it that cigarettes are able to thrive still? Illegal, non-illegal. Why is it that they're able to thrive in the country, and why is it that people are constantly seeking alternatives to getting it? So actually, I would say that the first factor is definitely the addiction to it, right? The nicotine rush that comes with it, right? So, and of course, to many people out there, it is also a way to relieve, to take a quick break from your daily stress and whatever it is that you want relief for. But the second thing is tobacco companies actually do a really good job of marketing their goods. So if you look at some of their techniques, they actually use the first thing is they actually use lots of celebrities and people with fun, exciting lives to convince consumers that if they don't smoke, they're not cool. And can you remember the last movie you watched that you've seen someone smoke in a movie before?
It's probably on the HBO channel on my Astro.
Okay.
I can't remember what movie it was, but I remember it was a couple.
Okay.
In Europe, I think it was Morocco or something. It was a scene, and then they were smoking in the rooftop.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then they were smoking very casually. They're talking about their life stories and whatnot. And I think I know that movie. It was called Allied. It was with Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard. The French actress and the American guy. So yeah, they were smoking in the rooftop in Morocco or something. I think it's Casablanca. Yeah, they were smoking up there, and then you can see even in movie scenes they show the cigarettes. They're pretty open. They show the lighting part.
Yep. That's right.
I mean, and this is in Malaysia. I'm watching it on the Astro.
Yep, you got it right.
Of course, you ban the packagings, but you don't ban the movie scenes, which I guess is a good thing, because imagine if they even ban that scene, people are going to start throwing the tables around and start complaining to Pinas or whoever it is. Why the hell are you stopping us from enjoying this movie scene, which so happens to include cigarettes?
Yeah, I think that is perhaps to weigh an extreme move really to actually do that. But what I'd like to highlight here is we see our celebrities doing it. We see famous people doing it in the movies. So people tell that they remove the packaging, right? But then they don't discourage our celebrities from actually depicting such scenes in the movies. And it's not just in HBO. Well, if you watch like Tamil movies, and if you watch Tamil channels, you would see lots of celebrities doing it as well. And it's not also that they were doing it's not so they smoke, yes, and what they do is Tamil movies are especially very funny because they tend to depict their smoking scenes in a very cool manner sometimes, so it sort of like enhances the maleness, the manliness, the ruggedness of the male character usually.
Definitely. I mean, cigarettes have become such a prevalent part of everyone's lives.
Yes.
And despite the laws to curb such usage, there are, like you say, contraband cigarettes that are coming out to prevent people from not smoking, and smokers continue to exist. There are even films that we watch that romanticize it. Yeah, I'm sure of it. That's together with even to the extent of alcohol as well. So this type of things still exists, and so is it a good or a bad thing? I mean, is it good that in a way that now the question is, should tobacco companies be allowed to freely advertise however they wish, however they want, or should we really just continue this trend of censoring them, curbing them, damaging their brand names, just so that less people are exposed to it? I mean, of course, that's the ethical part where yes, you want to censor it because for health reasons and that whatnot. But what about also for the other part, for artistic or even freedom of speech? Freedom of advertising.
Let's hear your argument. What are you arguing for?
Okay, I'm not trying to argue here, but based on what you explained so far and the countries that are trying to sort of censor it, like Australia, Uruguay, Togo, would you even consider Malaysia to be part of the list, or are we just like censoring half-heartedly?
I would say that we should introduce stricter laws.
Stricter laws?
Yeah, so we should also go for plain packaging.
Plain packaging?
Yep.
Because ours we can still see the Marlboro logos and whatnot, but it's just that they try to discourage us with disgusting looking images. So I guess that's not what Australia has done. They have done even more extreme measures.
So what happened in Australia was they don't add any logos, they don't add any colors. But what they do add is they just their packaging is white totally. It's completely white with the words cigarettes, of course. And if I'm not wrong, the logo is there as well. But they do not they do not have any disgusting pictures of the organs or whatsoever. But it's just that the packaging is entirely white. So it's very plain. It's not so it's not the appealing sort of packaging that we have in Malaysia here. Where it's very colourful and it's sort of like the plastic is pretty good as well.
So in a way, I guess you can say that Malaysia is still not as extreme as Australia in this
as other countries.
Aspect, because we can still see the brand logos in it. Certain elements of their packaging are still intact, except for particular spaces where they leave it for those disgusting images. Like I say, they just slap it across.
But here's the thing: if Malaysia were to implement such a move, which would of course discourage tobacco companies, right? Which would be a loss for tobacco companies. Don't be surprised that tobacco companies would actually take Malaysia to a legal case, because they've done this with Australia and Uruguay and Togo in the past. So the case with Australia, what happened was when Australia wanted to introduce this plain packaging law, they actually sued Australia in the High Court, claiming that as what you were saying, packaging should be an expression of art, and it should be an expression of trademark as well, and it shouldn't be limited, because you then strip the identity away from the tobacco companies. But here's the thing: all the judge in the case, 6 out of 7 judges ruled in favor of the plain packaging law being implemented.
Wow.
So I guess the argument here is marketing freely versus public health policies and safety.
I guess it's already come to this point, especially in this day and age where freedom or democracy is no longer as highly valued as opposed to like the interests of a nation or the public itself, which is, I mean, it's a good ethical stand to take, definitely. I mean, for the listeners out there who are listening to us right now, it really demonstrates how branding is everything, because the lengths in which even those tobacco companies will try to sue the Australian court in order to retain their full branding capacity, as opposed to having them completely stripped. It shows how important it is to have the advertising power, the marketing and their logos, their colors, their endorsements, everything to be intact, because that can determine whether they continue to make money and to have businesses, or
Yes.
They might file for bankruptcy. So it
Yes.
really is a matter of life or death for these companies, I suppose. Like the creation of massive sales or even cult-like recognitions, people who worship Apple. Imagine, okay, now I'm not trying to say it's a bad thing to limit the branding power of tobacco companies, but try to imagine this. If they can already put such measures, such censorship measures on tobacco companies, what would you think would happen if they do it on certain brands, like for example, tech companies, Apple? Imagine they take away their logo, they take away all their slogans, take away everything, and what you see is just a laptop as it is.
With
No advertising on TV, no nothing. Steve Jobs or Tim Cook don't get to do their yearly Apple conferences, their presentations. All they have is just to put it on the store and that's it. And people will just see the price, they see the specs and everything.
Well,
Basically,
yeah.
take away the identity. And really, who will care about them? If Apple never had that, would they have even prospered in the first place? If, let's say, such censorships were to occur to companies like this. Of course, you'll be saying that tobaccos and tech companies are widely different, which yes, they're widely different.
I was going to point that out,
But you have to see the intent and the motivation. You see, these courts, these governments, they curb branding powers for tobacco companies because of health reasons, right? Because for the betterment of the people, the betterment of the Australians, Malaysians, whoever it is. But what's not to distort the message when tech companies are curbed? For example, if let's say Apple is selling laptops, phones, devices, who's to stop the governments from saying that, oh, the usage of laptops, phones is unhealthy, it's a detriment to society because the constant usage of phones have been affecting society, people are getting isolated, people are dying out of constantly being exposed to this machines, and then they are a distraction, they don't know how to socialize anymore, they don't have to do anything, they even use it to hack and to cause malicious intent. What's to stop governments from using this sort of excuses, or not to say excuses, from using this sort of reasons to censor even tech companies or even any other industry? This is setting a very dangerous trend that no company is able to really freely advertise themselves. At any point, at any time, they can have that taken away. Which is saying that at any time, we can lose our freedom of expression. I mean, you can say freedom of expression not just for the individual, but freedom of expression for even the companies that really represent people as well, to represent a cultural movement or represent society in certain senses.
So I agree with your points, and we are, as we summarized earlier, the branding is really an important part of a company's identity, right? So, and if we strip branding away from tobacco companies, then what is to differentiate one brand and one company from another company, right?
Yes.
But here's the deal though, you mentioned a comparison with tech companies, and I would argue that yes, if we're not careful, it would go to a point where there is no stopping point for this, and the momentum continues, and it goes to even influencing other industries as well, like the tech industry, technology, whatsoever. But I would argue that there's the matter of facts here that we have to account for. So we don't I'm not saying technology is bad, but we do know for a fact that cigarettes are bad for you. So the stopping point for me to curb whatever that's bad, and to not curb whatever that could be potentially bad yet. So we know that tobacco is bad, and we know that tobacco companies would want users to spend more and get more of their goods, and of course we know that is in conflict of public health, right, as a whole. So I see no harm in tobacco companies being restricted even more if the outcome is we get healthier people, healthier population coming in the country. But I would say that it would not apply to tech companies because they are not considered harmful yet, or there isn't enough justification to say that it's harmful, and even if it could be, I would argue that it's easier to curb an addiction to technology than it is to curb an addiction to chemicals, which is what cigarettes are.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe tech companies are not such a good example. Having said that though, you say tobacco companies being censored for the health, betterment of people. I still find it very hypocritical for governments and for authorities to really do this for cigarette companies, but continue to let certain industries off the hook. Never mind tech companies, okay?
Okay.
But here's a better one. Here's another industry that is closer to tobacco companies.
Okay.
It's a consumable
As well.
I
Okay.
think industries like the food industry, the drinks industry.
Yeah, alcohol.
Imagine not to say alcohol. Okay, let's say something like Coca-Cola, the soft drink industry. I mean, obviously we know that it's really bad for everyone because of the high sugar in it and
Chemicals
all
and
the
preservatives.
the preservatives, the synthetic ingredients in it.
Yep.
Nothing is natural anymore. There's no natural ingredients in it. There's all the preservatives and whatnot that really.
Yep.
There even researchers that where Coca-Cola like kills your sperm or something. I mean, I'm just putting it out here.
Yeah.
I mean, they are equally as damaging as cigarettes.
Yeah.
But why are they still allowed to brand themselves and market themselves freely while tobacco companies aren't able to? Isn't that a little bit of double standards and hypocritical elements in it? I mean, everybody knows. You ask anyone out there, is Coke good for you? They will say, it's bad. It's really bad. It's the same level as cigarettes being bad. But why are they still allowed to market themselves like that? If this is really the case, if governments, authorities, or anyone really believes that we have to censor certain brands that pose a danger to the public's health or their betterment, if that's the case, then why are certain industries like the drinks industry or even the food industries like McDonald's or KFC still allowed to operate?
Yeah.
If that is the case, shouldn't they also be faced with the same standards as
Tobacco companies are.
Yeah. Why just single out tobacco companies and certain companies while other ones are left off the hook?
Yeah.
That's just weird for me. That's just very strange.
So I would you have a really good point right there. It is true that the other industries, the food industry, Coca-Cola, we know that Coca-Cola is especially bad for you because of their high sugar content, right? And of course, high sugar diabetes leads to all sorts of other complications as well. And of course, if you look at alcohol, we know that alcohol kills dozens of people every year because of consuming too much at one go. But here's the thing. So I think that even for these industries, there needs to be more stringent and stricter advertising rules and laws. So and it shouldn't be limited to the tobacco companies as well. So companies like Coca-Cola and companies like Smirnoff or Absolute, these drink companies, so they should be adding labels in their packaging, labels that are more bigger and obvious to warn people of the effects or the repercussions of consuming too much of these things at one go.
Yeah, at least that's fair enough. If you're going to put such extreme measures onto tobacco companies, you might as well do it to other industries that pose just as much threat to the public health tobacco does. Otherwise, it's just double standards and hypocritical that you are letting these industries off the hook while only one or two are like jailed or imprisoned.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense. If you're really interested in the public's health, all these industries would have been crucified.
Yeah,
they would have been put to the jail or anything. But we are not seeing the case. We're just seeing the case of selective punishments, of selective
bullying.
penalties. Yes, it's only choosing particular industries that they want to single out. Then the rest are fine. Continue as it is. So it's just very strange. It's almost like there's something weird, very hanky-panky stuff going on at the back.
Agree.
Which unfortunately I guess happens in today's world society. Nothing is very simple as there's black or white, right and wrong. There's a lot of grey areas in it. But what I'm trying to say, at least trying to relate all of this back to our listeners here, regarding the tobacco companies, tech companies, or even drink companies, it's it really represents the slow death of creative arts for me, at least. I mean, I studied in the creative arts background, so for me to witness this in society, to know that we don't get to say what we want to say or to express what we want to express, not just individually but collectively as a company or as a team, it's really saddening. I mean, I can understand the point, the reasons they want to do this is for people to live healthier lives, to live longer, to you can say, I wouldn't say out of love, but some people can say it's done out of love, but still to not be able to freely express oneself, to have one's hand tied behind his back while doing certain things is just, it's stifling. I mean, we are not meant to be stifled. We are not meant to be contained. We are humans, we are people, we are free spirits. We come into this world, we are here to do what we want to do. I mean, of course, we do it without harming others. But even so, this is just free expression. Shouldn't we have the freedom to express ourselves? Of course, you can say that it will start affecting people, that's where they come in. But it's just sad. I mean, I'm not trying to take a stand here. I'm not saying that everybody should be freely expressing themselves however they wish, because there could be dangers in it. Yes, I agree with you. There's the danger in it. That's why I don't really fully oppose like what tobacco companies are being faced with, because I can see the reason and the motivation why they are being curbed. But it's just very saddening to see something like this. Especially during the 60s, the 70s, you can see that they are in full force. They can do whatever they want. You can see marketing and advertising at its best. People can have all sorts of ideas, and then those ideas get to have a life of its own. But now it's like, even before these ideas can be realized, they'll be shot on the spot. They're being vetted, they're being examined, they're being quarantined before even reaching the public sphere. So it's just very sad.
So, well, I agree with your points, and I like that you're not opposed to having full creative independence because of the side effects that has. So I can see that you're a very rational person, and I appreciate that. But what I would want to say is, the creative independence that was in the early years, the years of 60s to 90s, okay, if you could limit to those years, the creative independence in terms of advertising in those years was free, right? So there was no restrictions whatsoever. But I would say that now, in our present time, in the late, as we're approaching the 2020s, the creative independence has not been curbed. However, it has taken a more serious, practical, and a more limited form. So it has to be done in such a way because, people's lives are people's lives are here, and also people are watching. So there is if you look back in those years, people are not very connected, and the connectivity and the information on certain products or brands is not easily as available before as it is now. So people are more educated now, people are more aware now, and people are able to search for information from various outlets out there. So what I would say is, there needs to be, so relating this back to creative independence, is creative independence should be allowed in advertising for all companies. This is of course also including tobacco companies, whom are the villains that we're talking about here. But at the same time, it needs to also take a more informed and educated approach in ensuring that their users are fully aware of the consequences and the effects of using their products. What do you think?
I'm definitely on board with this. I mean, I'm on board with the movement that you will continue to hopefully let tobacco companies be able to market themselves freely, but
ethically.
But sort of give them the responsibility that you have to at least advertise. And also, it's hard for me to, I mean, I understand it, but it's hard for me to fully accept it, to fully come to terms with it, because from an artistic background, you don't want to see oneself being censored. You don't want to see words being taken out because it's just not good. Because what's the point? It's like you have ideas, you have things that you they are in your head. You want to let it out, but you can't let it out because of limitations. Of course, I can understand. We have to be responsible citizens. We have to be responsible people. We can't just do whatever we want because it might affect people the wrong way. But here comes the thing. All of these censorship measures are done because of people, because of others. We want to protect others. We want to look after others, isn't it? Or maybe others, they can't really look after themselves or protect themselves because all these messages are getting to their heads.
Yes.
But here's my question. Because everything, censorships, all these things are happening because of people being unable to do anything for themselves. Should they now, now that we are quite a mature society, we have information,
Readily available,
technology, we have everything available. We can go to Google, we can go to Safari or wherever and get these informations in split seconds.
Yes.
So when we have all this, should we now come to a point where every single user, every single human on this earth be held accountable for their own decisions and not blame it on others? Because a lot of these censorships, I feel, the tobacco companies being singled out and certain alcohol companies or whatever being singled out is because they are of the belief that people can't look after themselves. They will be affected. So they are not trustworthy. We cannot trust them with their own health. We cannot trust them with their own lives. So we're gonna do it for them. It's sort of like helicopter parents. Like parents sort of going, not to say all parents are like this or not everyone's like this, but I'm just saying there are those parents that go overboard and start controlling, micromanaging everything because they just don't trust that their kid can make the right decisions, or when they make the wrong decisions, they can't just bear it. They don't want to let their kid be faced with wrong decisions and then learn from it. They want the path to be as smooth as possible. But here's the problem. Like parents taking care of their kids up until that point, for how long can you do that? For how long can governments continue to look after their citizens in that sense? You know that things change, nothing stays the same. So why one day like governments change and then their belief system is different, and then whatever movements you want to do starts being changed to another direction, and from there you can't really look after your people the way you want to.
That's true.
And that is the whole issue, because we are trying to sort of sugarcoat everything. You're trying to ensure that the public doesn't see all the ugliness of this world and only the good stuff. But the bad stuff we keep it out. But isn't that restrictive? Isn't that doing an injustice to people? It's like not allowing them to grow up, not allowing them to become independent minded, not allowing them to think for themselves and to engage in critical thinking.
Yeah, that's true. Let me think of the counter argument.
I know we have gone very deep right here. For all those listeners out here, we didn't expect to reach this level,
I have my point.
We have to say it. We have to say it because it's very important, especially topics like this.
So, so like what you said earlier, so there is, of course, to an extent only, where governments are able to limit how their citizens consume goods, whether it's good or bad to them. And a really good example is, as I mentioned earlier, so even when normal cigarettes are expensive now, people look for other alternatives. So in this case, those are the illegal cigarettes that we mentioned earlier, and they are cheaper. So there is only up to a certain extent that government are able to limit their citizens in terms of regulation and everything else. So even if these regulations are not just for the companies but also for the citizens themselves. Like for example, there's a law, alright, that if you are less than 18 years old, you're not able to buy the cigarette from the outlets, 7-Eleven or wherever it is.
I'm aware of that.
So I would say that ultimately it's in the people's hands, like what you were saying. So people need to be more informed of how their decisions, how their purchasing decisions, and how their purchasing behavior affects them, and not just them, the companies directly and indirectly. For example, this may not be a relatable example, but if you look at plastic bags, right? So in Penang, we've struggled so hard to to completely not rely on plastic bags, right? Even by introducing paid plastic bags, people still opt to pay for the plastic bags, right? So it's really hard to completely get rid of plastic bags in Penang, and I would argue that no law would actually help in this regard, because people would find ways to circumvent these laws and go back to using plastic bags. So the only possible solution to see a real change in this aspect is to change the mindset and the expectations of the users themselves. And likewise, with tobacco users, we have to do the same. So they have to be aware that their product is bad for them. They have to be aware, so not just tobacco companies, even soda companies or even food companies, the users and the consumers, this is of course to you, the audience right there, if you're listening, this applies to you as well. So we have to be aware of the decisions that we make, each and every one of them, no matter how big or how small, affects us and affects the companies and the people around us. So ultimately, it is the people that has to be empowered to make a step to change.
I'm in full agreement with that. It's just that with movements like censorship, it's just not putting power back to them, because with censorship, it's sort of like you're trying to make decisions on behalf of the people, when it really should be back into the people's hands. If they want to smoke, let them smoke. But if they start getting sick or whatever, then they have to face the consequences themselves, because they made that choice. They made the conscious choice that they might fall sick, or they might not have a very long life because of their smoking habits. But that is what they consciously take. They're willing to take the risk. They're willing to take the leap of faith. And that is something we must really inform people and to give that power back. But of course, maybe it's easier said than done. Companies are not willing to do that these days. Or even institutions are not willing to do that because, well, I don't know. For me, in an ideal world, there will be no censorships, no restrictions, none of these things. But at the same time, all these regulations has to be within us. We have to regulate ourselves. It's not up to others to do that for us. It's up to ourselves to do that. We do self-regulation. If we want to do censorship, we do self-censorship on ourselves. If we want to be responsible, yes, you can freely express whatever you want, but if you feel that this is not right to say, then don't say it. We have to be consciously aware that everything comes from within, not from external sources, but from internal sources. So that's just my take on it.
Okay, so that's your conclusion, right?
That is my conclusion. Well, I mean, how it relates back to all the listeners, I know we've gone very far. Don't worry, but hopefully you learn a lot from this podcast, because we've gone really on the deep end, from tobacco companies all the way to the ethics of curbing their power and then curbing every other industries that might happen in the future. You never know. Tobacco companies the first, many others might fall through, and eventually from companies it might turn into individuals. Individuals just get censored back and forth. We have already seen this even in Malaysia in the past and other countries. Thank God for now in Malaysia we can now freely express ourselves. So you can see people are happy because of this. So really, being empowered, the public being empowered is not a bad thing, it's a good thing.
It is.
People are rejoicing in it, and you can see how responsible they have been.
It is.
They haven't been going crazy and stirring a lot of troubles in the streets or whatever. So that's what I'm saying. I'm against self-censorship. I'm against really tobacco companies being censored, although I can understand the intentions. People should be responsible for themselves. We should teach people to be independent, the public to think for themselves, and to really not believe every single advertising measures. Of course, there are those that are bad, so you have to decide. You have to filter yourself. So how does it relate back to the listeners right now, to the potential e-partners or even entrepreneurs? It's you're going to have products or services that you're going to sell, that you're going to advocate for the rest of your life, because it's your business. Or you might be working for someone as well that has a product or service to sell. It's the same story. Imagine if the product or service that you are selling is being curbed, it's being restricted. It affects you as well. It affects your livelihood. And of course, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to curb these things. So we are definitely in favor of measures that allow every single entrepreneur in this world, every single human in this world to freely express themselves for their own reasons. Of course, being freedom with responsibility.
Okay.
You have all that freedom, but of course you have to be responsible for it. You don't misuse it, otherwise you might lose it.
Yeah, so I agree
that's
with
the
you,
double-edged sword.
and I agree with the middle ground stance that you've taken. So, to our users out there, yes, what I'm trying to say is, well, I'm not far off with agreeing from Aaron. So I believe that creative independence should come with some form of responsibility, and if we know for a fact that people have full awareness and are fully independent and are educated on a certain issue, then I think that would be the point where censorship would no longer be needed or relevant. So, but till we reach that point, my firm stance would be that self-censorship has to be in place at first till we reach that point lah.
We'll see. At least,
well, we could ask our users, well, our dear users, please do let us know what you think, and who you agree with more in the comments. We'd like to see which side you've chosen.
yes, yeah. I mean, you can freely express yourself in the comments. Let it all out. Do you agree more with Surya's stance that some self-censorship should be in place? That people really need external forces to intervene and look after our own interests?
Yeah.
Or do you agree that we should really take matters into our own hands? Everything that we do, we should be doing it responsibly, so that ensures that we get to freely express ourselves, but done so in a controlled manner. And with that comes to an end with our recent podcast and our episode. Thank you so much for listening to us. I know
you guys.
This is much longer than the previous one, but hopefully
Yes,
this has
it
been
is.
a more interesting
And a more informative
experience for you. We hope that this was a better experience. And of course, stay tuned to our next episode. We don't know yet what we're gonna talk the next time. So depending on your comment, you can even give us ideas.
Yep.
What would you like us to talk about?
Yep.
What would you like us to debate
You can let us know in the
about?
comments, yeah.
Yes. And of course, if you enjoy it, please like our podcast, share it to your friends, and even comment and just share good
Just
stuff.
support us
Really,
lah.
it is good. Just share it.
Yes,
I mean, we
yes.
don't ask for much, and we hope that you, of course, learn something from this. We're also learning at the same time through our discussions. So, thank you so much. I guess we'll see you some other time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.